Hey, it's Coach MK. Wanted to take a minute to talk about the EAT. Not to steal Coach Sarah's thunder, she's doing a live stream, and that's amazing. And she's talking through what it is. I want you to understand the why on a slightly deeper level. So before we go any further, if you open up the notes underneath this video, go ahead, click that little button. You can see all the words, the description. Start to see the workout description. I've been used to being in Training Peaks. But in the description of this video, there is a link. Click here to subscribe. Click that link. I'll wait. When you do, you will be able to download a PDF of a document that will tie all of these concepts together. I'll wait. You didn't do it, did you? And you didn't either. But you did. That's why you're my favorite. Thank you. If you didn't download that PDF right now, there's no point in watching any further. You're not going to understand this any better or any more than you did before. Though, for everyone else, go ahead and if you're watching this on your computer, pull up that PDF on your tablet or on your phone or your other computer, however you want to do it. If you're lucky enough to have 2 screens, do that. God knows I need at least 3 more in my office alone. So initially when I started coaching, I wanted to teach people how to run by feel. It never crossed my mind that people didn't automatically sort of know how to do that. And I say that lovingly. It is bandied about as though it's the easiest thing in the world. It's the most natural thing in the world. What that does not take into account, though, is the type of pressure people like me, women, live under. If ever you say that was too hard or that was too much, you're immediately labeled a girl, run like a girl, throw like a girl. Oh, sweetie, of course that hurt. Sit down, take a break. You're treated like you're fragile, regardless of whatever burden it is that you're holding. People only care in the moment that you break. They don't take a look at what you were asked to carry versus everyone else. So is it really any wonder that most of the women and minorities and the people with disabilities or that are non-neuronormative, the people who are fat, that the trouble that they've had learning to run by feel, everything in society is geared to tell them that they are not enough, that they gotta work more, they gotta do more just to be here, and how dare you complain about hard. That's why you're fat. That's why you haven't gotten ahead. And they take that and it's like a knife that they stick in your back and your front simultaneously, and it's ugly. So is it any wonder that only one demographic has really successfully mastered this whole running by feel thing? It's the people that are allowed to find a breaking point and are not necessarily celebrated for it. Like, oh, you finally found that hard-working spot. It's like, oh, wow, he worked till he vomited. Bless his heart. Someone get him some water. Who's ever offered to bring me water? Anyway, I say that not just to rant, but to emphasize that it is presented usually by men that are in this demographic that I'm speaking, and I know the one you're thinking, that you understand the one I'm thinking of right now. No offense if you're in it. But seriously, it's just so easy. Just feel it. You gotta feel it. There's a reason you can't, and it's all the psychology. It's the way that you've been conditioned. It's everything that you've been told not to do, which is pay attention to your body and actually tune in to the cues that it's giving you. I realized very quickly this is something I was going to have to teach people, because once I went out and got pregnant, remember my story, I became a coach after I couldn't find a coach to work with, after I moved to altitude with a busted body, dealing with a third less oxygen than I was used to breathing, and having given birth to Irish twins in the 13 and a half months prior. With all of that, I had nowhere to go but up and no one to help me get there. I also was doing it in an unfamiliar body, one that had been running 730s at 140 beats per minute, and now was lucky to squeak out an 18-minute mile with a heart rate of 155. I did not know up from down. I did not know what to do, and it took a while not just to get back to fitness again, but also to feel paces and effort levels in a brand new body. Even though I've been doing this all of my life, I still had to go learn that shit over again. So if you do too, you are not less than, and I'm not either. Go ahead and come at me. If you want to have that conversation, don't come at any of my clients. This stuff is not intuitive. Everything in life has forced it to be anything other than intuitive, okay? So it's not just you. It's not you at all. Never was. First time I stepped out on a track, it was for a marathon training program, because no one ever signs up to join a run club. That costs money unless they're training for a marathon, in my experience, or trying to look for training partners to go to the Olympic trials. In between, there's just not a whole lot of hobby joggers that want to come together on any day other than a Saturday to run. So I realized pretty quickly that a lot of these people had no idea what easy effort was. They had spent the better part of their adult lives either worried about their weight, trying to lose weight, worried about what went in their mouth, thinking that they weren't working hard enough, and that's why they had not reached their goals. Is it any wonder I couldn't get them to back off? I made everybody wear a heart rate monitor, and I made them go out and do things over again. We're going to slow down. We're going to go longer, and we're going to slow down, and it's going to be okay. And that was a scary thing to do. After a while, I then said, hey, let's see what you got. Let's have a pace test. And the first thing I tried to implement was a disaster. It was a Cooper test. And roughly, you got to warm up. To get a Cooper test, you have to warm up and some strides to get your heart rate up. Then you do, or to get your VVO2 max working. And then from that point, you've got 20 minutes all out, running as hard as you possibly can. Not as hard as you can, but thinking of it as trying to go as far as you possibly can. Cover as much ground as possible in that 20-minute time, followed by a cool down. And then that 20-minute portion is where all the math comes from and all the predictions come from. Sounds easy unless you have no idea what's going on in your body and you've been taught to tune out instead of in. So I realized as I'm watching people run 3 laps and then have to walk, I'm thinking, why are you walking? Like we're not 6 minutes into this yet. What's going on? Or at that point, we weren't even 12 minutes in. It was really, really unnerving for me. So I thought, well, that was a bad cue. This is me as a coach not understanding the needs of my people. What do I need to do differently to get the desired result? And that is where an old workout that I performed a decade prior and found in an old training book came into play. It's called the Enhanced Anaerobic Threshold. It's one of those old-fashioned workouts that people who are really, really fast have probably been doing since they were younger. It was a terrific workout. It still is a terrific workout. And the purpose it served for the elites and the professionals and the coaches who train them, who swore by this workout, it serves an entirely different purpose with my people. It's actually kind of the perfect workout to figure out where your fitness level is at any given point in time and open up a very important conversation about what race day is going to look like. Because you see, if you can't moderate easy effort pace, then you have no idea what hard is or how long you can hold on to it. You're probably a one-pace pony. You've got like an on switch, go, and you just go at that one pace for as long as you can. And you don't back off, and if you have to walk, you feel like you failed. That is very, very, very common in the non-elite running world. And it breaks my heart. It will never not hurt me to see what people think that they have to do. This is the only thing a run is. And they're so wound up about the pace that they can't give themselves credit or grace for what they've accomplished because they feel like it's less than due to a number that they cannot benchmark. They have no idea where they are. Anywhere they go, all they know is I'm not working hard enough because I'm not where I want to be yet. And that is a misnomer and it's unfair. But back to the workout. So where this came into play, if you've ever seen the Enhanced Anaerobic Threshold before, it is completely disorienting to all of my American clients, and intentionally so. It consists of a warm-up, strides, again, to get your heart rate up so that we're not working to get it up. Once you've got your heart rate up, artificially by going fast in a stride, especially if you're not as fit as a pro, your heart rate, it is easier to get back up to that point again. You'll be able to get there more efficiently in this workout session with less input required. Meaning it'll be easier to keep your heart rate under control. Generally speaking, for a non-elite, I don't like putting strides at the beginning of a workout, but for this particular workout, it serves a very good purpose. If that client is paying attention to the instructions and getting what I want them to get out of this workout. So it's a warm-up, it's strides, followed by 2 kilometers, 2 kilometers, 2 kilometers. And again, that's intentional. How long is 1 kilometer? Matt, it's 1.63 kilometers. Great. How far is 1 kilometer? How far is 2 kilometers? Amazing. You don't know. Most Americans, again, I don't care. I've lived abroad for 7 years. A lot of Americans I know have lived abroad too. This still might not be, if you're living here and you're operating not in the metric system, this doesn't come at you easily. Like if you're out running, how many kilometers have we covered? Oh, But they also, most of my clients also have no idea how much distance they would have covered, because there's no strong correlation in their brains between distance and effort over time. And that is something I aim to rectify, and this workout is where I start to bring those pieces together. So you've got 2 kilometers at one effort level, 2 kilometers at a second effort level, 2 kilometers at a third effort level. And we call that, in the output, we have the A portion, the B portion, and the C portion, okay? So here, I have to give different instructions to different groups to kind of hopefully get the outcome that I want. But broadly and generally speaking, I don't want this portion. So let me back up. So this third portion is balls out, 180 plus. Okay. In this portion, I really don't want you above 179. And this is where people spin out, right? Then I have to alter how I give the instruction. I want to keep your heart rate in the 160 band in the first 2K. I want to keep your heart rate in the 170 band for the second 2K. And I want to see how much you've got left at the top and see if you can possibly get through an additional 2 kilometers. And by the way, this is 1.25 miles. Or 5 laps of lane 1 in a track, in a standard American track. And so the output there is the A. So we have the pace and the distance. This is the A portion of the EAT. This is the B portion of the EAT, and this is the C portion of the EAT. And this is where people start like spinning out and just like, what do I do? What do I do? And they get worked up about how hard this is. And true, it's a really difficult workout. But if you've been in this game for as long as I have, it doesn't look that different to a DeHaven tempo. It doesn't look that different to Smiley Mileys or Vigil Miles or any of the other like super hard tempo workouts. Tempo with the Mona Fartlek. Granted, there's no. Like we could stick the Mona in the end if we wanted to, but there are lots of famous workouts kind of operate in this area that the purpose they serve is not necessarily to make the athlete stronger. It's a benchmark workout for the athlete and the coach, and to see how an athlete is responding over time. And that's why we use this to form the basis of what to expect on race day, because the A portion is a proxy for what's going to happen in a half marathon. Whatever your A pace is in the EAT, your half marathon is not going to be faster than that. And you know what? It's probably not even going to be that pace. It's going to be slower. It's going to be somewhere between 140 and the A pace on your EAT. Your B pace is a proxy for 10K pace or a tempo effort. Why is that? Come to that in a minute. And then the C portion is 5K pace. So effectively, we're going 1.25 miles at half marathon pace, 1.25 miles at 10K pace, and 1.25 miles at 5K pace. Most of my clients in that first season, and even more in the second season, set 5K PRs while executing this workout. Why? Because they had no idea how to race and they had no idea how to pace themselves. This was the first I teach everyone how to run easy. We put on a heart rate monitor and we jog real slow. And then we start feeling out all the shades of hard that exist above easy effort. And it takes time. The whole idea of training is that you're going to get fitter over time. And you know what? The feeling of that this A portion, the B portion, the C portion, what that feels like never changes. What does change is the paces that fall out of it. And that's where you can get really excited and feel good about yourself, even if you get a number that doesn't predict the finish time you want this cycle, which is what everybody does. If you treat like what we're doing like the McMillan calculator, like you really need to go be working with McMillan. He does amazing things. That calculator is fantastic, but that is not what he designed it to do. And what he designed it to do was to work for a very specific sort of person that has been following his plans for a period of time, not for someone to come in cold and play around to try to game the system and figure out what paces they need to run if they want to run a big old magical PR. If you really want to use the McMillan calculator correctly, go put the finish time that you want in and then go take a look at what your easy effort pace needs to be, according to McMillan, right? If your easy effort pace, according to his calculator, is not anywhere close to your 140 pace. And guess what? All of that prediction is not telling you what you could do. It's not telling you that you need a new training plan. It's telling you that you're looking at the tool that he gave you, like, and you're abusing it, basically. And that is so disrespectful to him. Like, why would you do that? I can't even, but that's so common. We have normalized it. That is the opposite of what you need to be doing with the Macmillan calculator or Jack Daniels calculator or any of the other good race predicting calculators that exist online. What you can use them for is, if you've been doing what they say to do for a period of time, then the predictor is pretty good. But if you haven't been consistently running for a long period of time, if you have not been doing 3 to 5 miles a week, 3 to 5 miles minimum 5 days a week for at least a year, then you might not have the base required to execute those paces on race day. So that's why I had to come to this. Rather than playing around with really great calculators that were based off elites, I had to come up with a way to talk to non-elites and teach them not just the different effort levels, but how to hold on to them over time. Because what would happen, I had at least one training plan that I was selling at that time that had paces in it. So if you said that you're training for a marathon with me and that you're really hoping to break 3:30, so that's 8-minute miles, okay? And you do the EAT and your 5K pace comes out to a 9:25. Guess what? You're not running 8-minute miles in a marathon on race day. Not 16 weeks from now, not 20 weeks from now, maybe not even 26 weeks from now. And that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It means we need to dial that goal back into a more reasonable, easy to reach place so that we can stay in this game as long as required to get you to that number. There's no magic training plan that's going to get you, that's going to take a 9:25 5K pace and turn it into an 8-minute mile marathon pace. The problem's not the training plan. It's the person doing the selecting or what you're expecting from that training plan. So with all that in mind, I've said this, I want you to come back to that document I asked you to download. Go ahead, touch the screen, wake it up. And what you'll see is that all the outputs here that have traditionally scared people because they've been put into big old worksheets that required math, and I don't care how smart you are, math makes people freeze deer in headlights, even this simplistic basic math. Because what you see here really is no different than any of the heart rate charts ever written that say the amount of time you can spend above 180, maximum amount of time you could expect to spend above 180 for your average human is 20 minutes, tops. Betting that you could be there longer is a bad bet. Don't make it on race day. 170, your average human can stay there 40 minutes, not a whole lot longer. If you're betting that you can, if the pace is generating, in the first mile or the first minute of that mile is generating a heart rate up in there, then you're probably not going to be able to hold onto that pace for even a 10K. Okay, so people smarter than me came up with these pyramids and these pace charts and these time charts. The amount of time you can reasonably expect to stay in each band is finite. 20 minutes, roughly, for not saying like you have to run a 5K in less than 20 minutes, but with a heart rate of 120 plus, yeah, 180 plus, yeah, you should be able to do 5 laps if you're trained for it. It's not impossible. Not saying there's something wrong with you if you have not yet. Just saying the maximum amount of time a person can stay up there is 20 minutes. And I've had people finish the EAT before and be like, I could have kept going. And I'm like, that is really powerful. That's a powerful thing. That's also very rare. The strongest, fastest runners that I have, the 2 workouts that they hate the most, the ones they love to complain about because it's fun to talk about something that's really hard that's coming up on the horizon, one of them is the EAT and the other is the Haven Tempo. These are 2 workouts, and again, remember, those are 2 workouts that look very similar. These are 2 workouts that never get easier. No matter how fit you get, they just get faster and are over sooner the fitter you are. So now you know this is what it's for, and this ties into the chart that you would have just downloaded. So if at any point you're like, why are we doing the EAT? It's to come up with good frameworks to view the race that's coming up that takes pace really out of the equation and begins to tie effort levels to time periods so that we can say, well, if this race is going to take me 4 hours, great, guess what? We don't need to come anywhere near the A pace on your EAT until the final 30 to 40 minutes. and only, I'm not saying you have to, but you don't want to get up there sooner. Well, I'm doing this race and I think it's going to take me probably 45 minutes. Okay, great. Then you don't need to see this number until the final minute or so of the race. The earlier in the race you see this number, if that's 40 minutes long, the bigger a screw up, a bigger a mistake you're about to make. So it's kind of having an idea, a snapshot in a point in time about what good choices could look like, but really specifically what a bad choice absolutely looks like right now. Don't go there. Don't bet your race on that. You are coached. You are loved. You don't have to do an EAT. If this terrifies you, if you are scared that all it's going to do is reinforce any bad thing you think about yourself, that's okay. You don't have to. I have a totally generic framework that I use to talk through everything that I do, and we can use that to show you what the do not go there area looks like without a pace number. We can totally do it with heart rates. We can totally do it with time, and we can absolutely do it with different distance. Distance, effort, and time are the three things you need to know. Pace is something that falls out of it. We can get you through any of these events without ever looking at pace until you're ready to bring that back into the equation. You are not less than. This is what you have been taught to think about yourself, and I am here to tell you that you deserve better. I'm sorry it took this long for you to find me. We're going to undo all that damage together and bring out your inner beast. I am good at that, and until you don't believe in yourself, you believe in me. I got you, and you got this. Go get it.